Hello, welcome to the Dark Heart Files. This is a new series because sometimes I just want to tell stories in the same way that I'll chat to clients. So the Dark Heart Files, strange stories while I do nails, basically. So this one is about the most famous UFO photo that was ever taken in Scotland, probably the UK, possibly the world. And how the government kept it secret for over 30 years. So let's get into it. So today's nails are based on a computer game called Sallyface. But today's story is about the most famous UFO photo ever taken in Scotland. And the government kept it hidden for over 30 years. It's not like the government to keep things hidden, eh? So this happened in August of 1990 near a little place called Calvine in Perthshire, which is in Scotland, just a bit up from me in Edinburgh. Two men were hiking in the hills one evening when they saw something strange in the sky, a big diamond shape. First they thought it might be some kind of military aircraft or like an operation or a practice session because these things happen in rural areas in Scotland quite often. I used to live down in the borders and they were there all the time. Obviously not UFOs, but you know what I mean. So the longer they looked, the more clear it became that this was not a normal plane at all. And they described the object as a huge diamond-shaped craft hovering totally silently in the air. The really weird part of it was it just wasn't moving at all. It was just sitting there, totally still, which already makes it unusual for any kind of aircraft, really. So then a military jet appeared. It started circling the object. It was kind of like it was looking at it and trying to observe it, or intercept it a bit. This honestly sounds like the start of like a sci-fi film to me. Then the hikers panicked, obviously, but they managed to grab a camera and take a bunch of pictures. Now remember, this was the 1990s, or well, 1990, so there wasn't any digital cameras or phones or anything like that to take photos with. One of these photos shows the object super clearly. A huge diamond-shaped craft floating above the Scottish Hills with the jet nearby for scale. It looks huge and it definitely doesn't look like any plane that I've seen, and I really like planes, so I kind of know my planes. Anyway, the hikers did what most rational people would have done then, not now, but they took the photos to a newspaper. They thought, for some reason, it would be such an incredible story. So they took it to the newspaper. But instead of the pictures being put out in the news and making an amazing story, the newspaper decided to give them to the Ministry of Defence. Like, why though? But they decided in their infinite wisdom to do that. And after that, they vanished. They were gone. They were taken by the government and locked away in official files. Though I believe that a print of one was on like their UFO kind of office walls. I'm sure there's a guy called Nick Pope that used to be heading their kind of department. I think there was maybe two of them, and it was like a broom cupboard like Philip Schofield used to be in, but we don't talk about Philip Schofield. And I'm sure this guy, Nick Pope, said somewhere that one of the pictures were like up on the wall behind them. Anyway, and according to reports, these files weren't meant to be released until 2076, I think, which, I mean, I'll be dead, but you know. For decades, no one outside the government ever saw the photo, and the story became one of the most famous UFO cases in the UK. I think there were like 6 or 7 photos. But anyway, in 2022, a journalist, I need to find the journalist's name out. I don't know who they are. Anyway, I should have researched that. I haven't. I just like this story. A journalist managed to get hold of the original pictures and released them publicly, which, oh my God. Now, I don't know what everyone thinks of UFOs, but there's loads of chat about it at the moment, which I love, because I've forever been a conspiracy theory kind of lover. I would read books about it forever when I was younger. And to be perfectly honest, I think it's really arrogant of us to think that there isn't some kind of intelligent life in the universe, because the universe is infinite. And yeah, it kind of scares me when I go outside to look up at the sky. But that's not the point. That isn't the story. Even today, there is no confirmed explanation for what these two hikers saw that evening. It could have been a new trial of a new fancy plane. But in 1990, what was that? Oh my God, 36 years ago. Oh God, allow me a second while I catch my breath. In 1990, you would think by now we would have seen that craft come to fruition and come to life. So some think it could have been a secret military craft being tested, and others think it might genuinely be one of the clearest UFO pictures we have ever had taken. But the guys that took it, they've disappeared. Nobody knows who they are. They've never come forward. It's just all a bit weird, isn't it? Now, the photos were sent to Dr. David Clark in Sheffield Hallam. Is it Sheffield Hallam University? They did tests on it. They looked at it. They checked it. And this is a photo of like 100-foot craft, essentially. And they came back and said that they weren't a hoax. There was no evidence of it being a hoax. There was no evidence of anything happening to the pictures, like to be manipulated. And this craft had no means of propulsion. There was no smoke. There was nothing. It was just hovering, just silently. Now, could we have done that in the 90s? I don't know, because I'm not a military expert. But even nowadays, it's very rare to get any kind of craft without any means of propulsion or smoke or anything. So it's just bizarre, isn't it? And I absolutely freaking love it. So whatever it was, something strange was hovering over the Perthshire Hills that night, and these two hikers managed to get a photo of it, and it is so freaking cool. And I really want a picture of it. So yeah, that is the story of the Calvine UFO incident. If anyone has any information about that they wish to share with me, anyone that works in the MOD, just anyone, I would love to know more. Obviously, nobody's going to work in the MOD, but that's not the point. I am a nosy trout and I am desperate to know all the information. So yeah, if anybody knows anything, then that would be spectacular. By the way, I've been using 20 Pro system today and it is banging. Literally, their hard gel goes on like a builder and it's divine. P.S. Anyone else want a glittery ombre? Yes. And that is today's Dark Heart Files. So let me know if you enjoyed that, because I have loads of things. I have a weird obsession with the unexplained and strange encounters and mythical beings and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd love to keep doing this, to be honest. So let me know if you liked it. Love you all.